and welcome back to the Fields of Anfield Road podcast with, as ever, your host, Andy Davis, here to review Liverpool's 2-1 win away to Wolves last night in the Premier League. Apologies for the lack of content over the last week or so. As you would have known, if you were aware of my Twitter, my Instagram, you've seen I was in Dubai. So I wasn't around for the match review of the Bournemouth Premier League game, although I did watch the second half in a sports bar, which obviously we didn't get the option of in the UK because it's one of those 3 p.m. blackouts. So I got to watch a bit of that, but not obviously enough to do a match review on. And also I was busy with friends. And then due to unforeseen circumstances, which I can't really disclose in the podcast, I couldn't do a match review of the West Ham League Cup game. But a quick reaction to the Brighton draw. I mean, it's judging by their game yesterday, I'm pretty confident of a win. Now, I don't know what team they'll bring out and what will bring out. And Brighton, are a team that has always given us problems both at home and away from home. So it should be a hard game regardless. But not being the best start from them. But we are here today to talk all things Wolves Liverpool, which we are bringing later than normal due to both me and my guest today's commitment yesterday. But we are here, as you can see, for those watching on YouTube, we are here today. Who is on our second ever episode on the podcast. Back with us today is Wolves fan Tom Morton. Tom, how are things?
Yeah, not bad. Thanks for having me on. Would be a bit better with a better result yesterday, but sort of the story of the season so far, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I just can't believe that you guys are where you are on the table because it's a real belief. I'm just going to get the exact league position up now. I mean, there's been some good results. There's some good performances, I think, from you guys. I mean, you are rock bottom of the league, but you think about the Newcastle game and how you almost got a point there. You think about the Chelsea game where you went a goal up. There's been some good performances, and I think that you guys have been, I think personally, a lot better than what maybe your league position shows. I don't think at all you've been playing like a team who's been 20. I think that's probably with Southampton or Everton, but I just don't feel while watching you guys that you guys have been anywhere near as bad as what maybe 20th position suggests. But what do you think, as a Wolves fan? You watch them obviously week in, week out. You go to games as well. What do you think has gone wrong in terms of holding on to leads? Seems to be the biggest issue, but as to why you are rock bottom of the league,
I think, barring the Arsenal game, first game of the season, I think I've watched the same game 5 times. I've watched a game where Wolves have had a flurry in the first half, not been able to get the chance. The Newcastle game, the Villa game, and this Liverpool game, last 3 games have been sort of case in point of this. Newcastle absolutely dominated that first half, should have come away with more goals. As I said as we were watching it, we're going to lose this game because we haven't taken the chances, and lo and behold, we lose. Against Villa, dominated for 45 minutes and then conceded 3 goals late on in the second half. I think yesterday as well, we were fantastic for the first 20, maybe 25 minutes, and then sort of just had no idea how to convert that. I mean, we got let into the game, quite a lucky goal, but I do feel like you guys were there for the taking yesterday, and I don't think we played a positive enough brand of football to try and take advantage of that. That game was there to be won when lots of us possibly thought it wasn't going to be, because Liverpool far from 100%. But I don't know whose idea it is to try and play freaking tiki-taka with Sam Johnston, Santi. But whoever's come up with that needs locking up and throwing away the key, because we don't have the players to do that. And we saw on a couple of occasions that nearly came back to bite us. That Salah opportunity as well, with Lamina gave it straight to him, and he ended up putting it wide. But I don't understand. It stems from the back end of last season as well. We haven't won since the beginning of April, and maybe there are limits to the manager's ability. I don't know. I don't like saying it because I like Gary O'Neill, but something needs to change pretty soon. Otherwise, we're going to be in a pretty dire situation.
Yeah, I mean, the one solace you have is the fact you've already played at least 3 of the big sort of teams. I think you played Chelsea, you played Arsenal, you played us. I don't think even if you were your prime sort of Nuno days when you had Bruno, so Ruben Neves and Raul Jimenez in his pomp, and I think even that era, I don't think you could even really have expected many points from those games, maybe a win here and there. So I think those games don't really, I think you can solve. It doesn't matter so much because you probably will lose anyway. But I think it's the game against the lower teams where you need to start picking up points. And I think in a way, it's good that you've got some of the big teams out of the way now. And I think still very early days. I mean, you still 4 or 5 points away from 17th. So it's not right now. There's no need to panic as of yet. And O'Neill has proved it in his time at Wolves so far that he is a capable manager. And I think that there's absolutely no, personally, I don't think there's any need so far to push a panic button in terms of managerial dismissals. You never know, crazy things have happened. But I just think that O'Neill has done enough to me to prove that he can at least see guys to safety, and if not, maybe even at best, maybe even a top half finish. But obviously, it does need to improve soon. And yeah, I saw Gary Neville talk about it last night about how we're seeing a lot of teams, not just Wolves, are sort of trying to play out from the back, and you know, it's becoming a bit sort of every team's trying to copy Pep. And I think what I found the beauty of it was 20 years ago, or maybe even 10 years ago, was you had teams that played nice football, like Arsenal Invincibles, like. But you had teams that did sort of play a bit more Route 1 football. And I think the beauty of football years ago was the fact that it was, one team had this style, one team had that style. It was quite nice have that sort of variety. But now it seems to me that every team is trying to be Pep. Every team is trying to play nice football. Every team wants to be the Barcelona team Pep had, the Man City team. I just feel like sometimes, and I think it proved yesterday with Sam Johnson, you mentioned Sam Johnson, and there was many times in that game where we could have easily punished you more for those mistakes at the back. I think it's proven not everyone can do it, and I think I had a great quote from, it might have been True Geordie, it might have been Flav Bateman, how you can't teach a dog to bark, that you can't teach a pig to bark. Sometimes you haven't got the players, and I think sometimes, in a way now as well, the amount of teams who are playing Pep kind of style football. If you do go back to sort of traditional kind of football, like Route 1 or more direct football, actually, it might work more than it would have done maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I think, personally. But we haven't even mentioned the scores yet. It was a 2-1 victory for Liverpool, and it was the opening goal came from Ibrahim Konate, his second goal in as many weeks, but actually his first ever goal in the Premier League, which I did not even realise. I thought he maybe scored at least one. I knew he scored before the goal against AC Milan. His last goal was in the FA Cup against Man City, but I assumed he'd have scored a Premier League goal at some point. So he got on the score sheet, and then within a frantic 2 minutes, Riot Al-Nouri got the equaliser after Konate went from hero to zero with a terrible mix-up all round at the back. But then a minute later, we get a penalty. Mo Salah converts. Liverpool win the game 2-1, and for now, we go top of the league, at least for the weekend. City drew yesterday, Arsenal won, but after their draw against City the week before that, it means that we are top, but it is very tight at the top. And I think Chelsea are even sort of outside looking in. I don't think they will, but yeah, it's, for me personally, looking at Liverpool game yesterday against Wolves, it wasn't perfect. It was not like it was a week ago when we basically dominated Bournemouth from start to finish. It wasn't like that, but I don't think even the best teams, personally for me, play good football all the time. I don't think every game is a breeze. You're going to have these games where it's a bit dodgy, a bit shaky. But we got the job done. That's the most important thing. There's been many times where we played really well. Even, look at the Nottingham Forest game. From what I watched on Match of the Day and YouTube highlights, we were brilliant in the first half. Amazing. Couldn't get over the line. Second half, Hudson-Odoi scores. They win 1-0. So I think sometimes it's all about just getting a result, getting out, especially away from home, just getting out of Molineux or any of the stadium, just getting out there with the 3 points and job done. And I think, yeah, it could have been a lot more. I mean, there was a miss from Sobosai. Still can't work out whether it was a bad miss or a good save from Johnston. And I think there were obviously mentioned a Salah chance where it was almost an open goal. Couldn't convert that. And there were other opportunities as well. But at the same time, Wolves, as you said, Wolves gave us problems. There was that chance Alisson saved on when it was 0-0. There was a few chances as well later on, and I actually can't think of the guy who it came to now later on in the game. But overall, I mean, I think we have covered sort of the main things in that. But does the fact that, it wasn't like a 6-2 against Chelsea, does that give you confidence that even though you did lose, you at least gave us a good go, you took us close, and in the end, against a team that isn't as good as Liverpool or isn't going for titles or going for top four, that you can get these wins that you haven't yet got since April.
Yeah, there are certainly positives to take from it. Positives that we limited sort of clear-cut chances. It took a set piece and a penalty to beat us, silly penalties to give away, and that we are creating those moments. But it's when we seem to be trying to become a team that plays with the ball, plays from the back, which is absolutely fine. But we're going away from that counter-attacking style, which worked for us early on, and I don't think there was anything wrong with that. I don't think many Wolves fans had an issue with it since it was working. And that's how we used to beat the big teams. How we used to beat City, did the double over City our second year up. We beat Arsenal a couple of times. Beat Liverpool. There are positives to take from it, as you say. We can get into those positions. But it's just that final third. I thought Bellegarde was absolutely shocking yesterday. And how he's starting over Hwang, I've absolutely no idea. But you get the ball in the final third, and then his first option was to look back. Trent was on a yellow card from 7 minutes in. Why are you not running at him, try and bring a foul from him, trying to get that advantage? He's put himself under pressure from a silly little kicking the ball away, and it's your job now to put him under pressure and make him scared to make that challenge. And he did none of that. And then Trent was so comfortable throughout the game. There were a couple of occasions where he had so much space to just ping the ball forward, and it's just, I don't understand where that comes from. But I think in attacking wise and sort of transition from midfield, I thought Arthur and João Gomes played very well again. I think that's turning into quite a nice little partnership. Cunha did well, and Strand Larsen struggled again, but he's up against Van Dijk and Konaté, so he's up against a very good centre half pairing. But yeah, defensively, I think we're just all over the place. It didn't help we had that mystery virus swiping through the squad as well. But we were only missing Dawson, really. I think Santi Bueno doesn't look very good. A couple of times Jota got in front of goal, had a couple of opportunities. So a lot to fix, but there are some positives in there.
And what was your view on the penalty? Because for me personally, looking at it, I did think at one point, did Jota go down a bit easily? At the same time, maybe his head was down. It looked like he was already going down before he got fouled. But then maybe he was trying to go for the header low down. But I think overall he did make the right decision. But what was your take on the penalty decision that was given for the foul on Jota before the Salah conversion?
Yeah, I think it was the right decision. I thought, as you say, it might have been a little bit soft, but you've given the referee a decision to make. And if you give the referee a decision to make in that position, you can't have any complaints. It was ridiculous to put your hands on him. I don't think anything was coming from the chance. I don't think he was actually getting to the ball. But it was just poor decision making from Semedo, and he seems to be creeping back into those habits, unfortunately. But yeah, I don't have any complaints about the decision. I was just angry that it happened so soon after the goal.
Yeah, I mean, it was sort of. I remember when the goal went in, the equaliser, I was thinking it's going to be one of those days where, you have all the chances and you go 1-0 up. It seemed comfortable. That there was a period where it seemed very comfortable from maybe just before half time, maybe that period in the second half. And then out of nowhere, I was thinking, obviously the goal happens, and I was thinking, this is going to be a game where we dominate the possession, we dominate the chances, but we don't get the result. I was just so relieving that literally a minute later, we get the penalty and convert it, because that goal was such a bad goal to concede. It really was. I mean, you look at all round, really. I mean, Trent should have got to the ball initially, and then there was, I don't know what Van Dijk was doing, and obviously Konaté, really, there should have been some sort of communication between Alisson and Konaté, and it has happened occasionally with Alisson and one of our defenders. I remember Van Dijk and him had one last year at the Emirates, and I remember that was a similar sort of thing in terms of someone needs to call the ball and say it's mine, and neither of them seemed to do that. And then I did think for a second, was there maybe a little tug of the shirt from actually forgotten who the player was now who grabbed Konaté's, but looking at it since I watched Match of the Day on YouTube, wasn't enough for me at all to call that foul. And yeah, Van Dijk was faffing around in the bar. I don't know what he was doing in the box itself. And then Trent again could have got to it again. There was a brief moment where the ball got into the box towards Aït-Nouri, and Trent could have. He just stood there. He just waited for the ball. He should have come to it a lot more. So, yeah, that was a really disappointing goal to concede. It really was, because we only conceded one goal the whole season until yesterday, and that was a game against Forest. And for me, it's Tina's been so solid defensively. It's been a great start to Arne Slot's reign. That was just such a sloppy goal to concede, and all those FPL owners of Trent would have been fuming after that.
I think that's on the keeper. That goal takes a shout, doesn't it? Either get it out, and the keeper hesitated. So I think that's. I don't put too much blame on Konate there.
Yeah.
But that also comes down. Alisson's been out a couple of weeks, isn't he? So coming back in, like possibly if Kelleher was still in goal, it probably wouldn't have happened. He would have come and claimed it. But that's just speculation there, isn't it? Really.
Maybe the beard with his superpower. Maybe now he's lost the beard for a bit. Maybe he's lost some sort of his superhero powers he had before. But I don't know whether you saw as well Arne Slot after the game. Konate got man of the match, and Slot was saying, "You gave us a Konate. Did you not see his mistake for the goals?" So I do like that. The fact that Slot is quite brutally honest at times. I think you saw it with the decision to substitute Kwanzaa at half time, and he just came out and said he wasn't playing well enough. And I think, I think it's a refreshing change. I mean, obviously, we all were, when you last came on the podcast, it was Klopp's last review of Klopp's last ever game for Liverpool, and I didn't think we'd ever be able to replace him. But so far, so good. And I'm aware it's only been 6 games, and we only played one team of the big teams. We only played Man U. We haven't played Arsenal yet. Haven't played Man City yet, or Chelsea, or Tottenham. So bigger tests are to come, and there were definitely some signs to be concerned about. But I think so far I'm loving what I'm seeing, and can't really fault it. And Gravenberch again was fantastic. I thought he's been one of the stories of the season for me in terms of most improved players for Liverpool. Absolutely the most improved player by a mile. And I think to the Premier League overall, I think he's got to be in that shout for most improved player of the season. He's been fantastic from a guy who really couldn't get a sniff last year. Showed potential in Europa League here and there, but never really got a chance. But obviously, he tried to get Zubimendi, couldn't get him, couldn't get number 6. And so far, he's proven that maybe we didn't need to spend 60 mil on Zubimendi, because so far it's been really good. And there was a point late on in the game where he had this great little turn around the box, but just his end product let him down. But I think he seems to me a guy who just seems to get better every week. I mean, there was points in the game, or most games he played this year, where he'll make these little interceptions and find the spaces to do that, like Fabinho used to do back in the day. So Gravenberch for me was fantastic. He could have easily been man of the match. I think Salah obviously got a second goal, but he wasn't exactly. I don't think he's at his best. There was one little touch he did, which is really nice, but apart from that, he didn't really do much to warrant any sort of man of the match contention. But overall, I'm just glad that we've managed to close out the game, because there's been times under Klopp, as good as it's been to watch and as good as he's been for the club, that there were times, particularly last year, where we just couldn't hold on to leads, or maybe we were not getting goals till the last minute. I remember there was a point where we kept winning games late on. So it's good to see us getting goals early, holding on to leads as well, which I think is a refreshing change from last year, because last year was at times a bit like that. Can't really fault the result, really. And it's I think that's really where we can end it, really. I think there's not really much else we can talk about. These match reviews do tend to be quite short, because it is just one game we're talking about, especially, one with, where maybe it's not been the best performance from either team. Not really too many talking points apart from the goals in the game. I think overall, it's a good place to end it. So I want to say thank you to Tom once again for coming on.
No worries at all. Thanks so much for having me. Next time, it'll be a win.
We'll find out whenever that game is. I don't know when that game is at Anfield, but we'll be sure to do that. And obviously, you have been to a few Wolves games this year. When's your next Wolves home game? Have you got a season ticket, or do you just go to a lot of games? I never remember whether.
No, I haven't got a season ticket, especially since they hiked the prices up this year. I went to Arsenal first game of the season. I haven't to get to another one yet. I don't know if I'll be able to get up to Molineux till sort of middle of December. Me and Mark in the Ipswich game, because I'm from Suffolk, so I quite like that one. But hopefully get a few London away days soon. I need to get in contact with my ticket source.
And can you tell us your ticket source on the podcast, or is that a top secret information?
the Wolves buy and sell Facebook page. So I've got a guy
Oh,
offers me tickets if he can't go. So that's essential. So I'm not going to give in case other people tap him up for it.
yeah. I mean, that's the way it is these days. I mean, most tickets I buy Liverpool-wise are resellers these days. Just the ballot system in Liverpool is just ridiculous. It is just crazy. Like every year we enter the ballots for each game. We've had one success in the last 5 years. That was the Burnley game last year. All the other games I've been to in the last few years have all been via livefootballtickets.com, because it's the only way you can get tickets these days is through that. And yeah, so it's the sort of the cons of being of a good team is that you do have obviously a team with a lot of big following as well. It's very hard to get tickets, but my other half's dad is an Anfield season ticket holder, so I'm getting my Anfield experiences. I'm living it through him really, but I'll be going soon. I'm sure. I've got a few games earmarked. Potentially the Bologna game midweek. It just depends on annual leave at work. But yeah, that should all be coming in the future on the podcast as well. So this has been the Fields of Anfield Road podcast with, as ever, your host, Andy Davis, with today's guest, Wolves fan Tom Morton. And we'll see you guys for our next episode.